All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Matt. I'm going to keep his introduction short. Matt represents Quantitative Management Associates, and he's going to talk a little bit about the performance we've achieved inside of these funds.
One more time for Rich.
Thanks, guys.
But I'm going to try. Many of you have seen me before. I wanted to start with a thank you for spending time after hours with us. I know it's valuable time you do with your family, and we really appreciate you coming to hear our story. Normally we hear a lot of fund partners here, and we're the only ones tonight, so we're really appreciative of your time this evening. What I wanted to do was just ask a quick question to start my comments. What is the first thing you think of when you hear the word Prudential?
The Rock.
The Rock. You don't think about Rich Antonucci? No?
Ouch.
Insurance, right? Maybe you think even real estate, right? You're going to see some houses for sale by Prudential Real Estate. One of the things that we find is a challenge when we're out on the road is that a lot of advisors and also end clients don't realize that Prudential is an asset manager. So my role is to represent the asset management arm. When you look at us in the globe, we're top 10. We manage north of $1 trillion with a T. So that makes us one of the biggest players in the globe in terms of assets under management. We do that with 4 distinct asset management firms that operate independent of each other. So what I'd like to do is go through QMA as one of those firms tonight, talk to you a little bit about who QMA is and some of the performance and products that we offer before I introduce Stacy. So as quants, we kind of travel around with this big packet I like to call the QMA textbook. Inside, you're going to find some fact sheets I'm going to cover. But first, QMA, we were founded in 1975 as an independent arm of Prudential. We manage about $120 billion. We were founded to take on asset allocation business that was coming from institutions, sovereign wealth, pensions, endowments. 60% or 60 billion, which is about 50% of our assets, still is in that institutional space. The other 60 billion sits within Prudential annuities, which we consider also an institutional client. So not a lot of real retail presence, which is I think one of the benefits by using some of these products is getting access to that institutional management. When you look at our staff, over 21 PhDs, so not necessarily want to come to one of our cocktail parties, but you want us managing your money, all right? When you look at the average manager tenure, north of 20 years, Stacy's been with us for 24 years, a little bit over that. When you look at the majority of our portfolio managers also, they hold the CFA designation, which is the hardest thing that we would possibly do in our industry. So not only the tenure, but the experience, but also the mindset and the cerebral approach to asset management. And that's us as a firm. When we look at performance, I wanted to highlight and kind of just pick a little bit on the Prudential growth. As Rich mentioned, as quants, we call this 17%, not 16.9. All right, just so you know, we round up.
I rounded up from 12.
So just a couple more things on that though. When you look at that inside of Highest Daily, we were the #1 performer last year. When you look at the 3 years that we've been running this portfolio inside, cumulative 41 step-ups over that 3-year period, so a really great client experience. And then you look at the protected withdrawal value growth of 33%. So a very, very powerful performance with Prudential growth.
Matt, can you just repeat those numbers?
Yeah, so over the 3 years we've been running the portfolio, 41 step-ups, cumulative growth in terms of protected withdrawal value of 33%, and last year the #1 performer on the platform. So just great client experience. Because this is done so well, when they went to launch the investment-only vehicle, which is what I want to talk to you about on the next 2 portfolios, and these will be the first 2 fact sheets you have in your textbook. They basically said, okay, you're running an 80-20 for us, which is what that Prudential growth is. You're knocking it out of the park, but we have some constraints on you because we have this benefit that we need to offer. We're offering now an investment only. Don't really need to have that handcuffs on you because we don't have any benefits that we're offering. So what happened if we take off the handcuffs? And that's the first fact sheet that you have. Flexible multi-strategy. It's an asset allocation model. Okay, on the top here, you're going to see 3 different words: global, tactical, and unconstrained. Global, pretty self-explanatory. Go anywhere in the world. Tactical, also pretty self-explanatory. Good example, Ebola scare. Took 40% of our equity exposure off in 2 days. A week later, we realized it wasn't a global catastrophe. Put all the equity exposure back on. So very nimble, very tactical. This one that I wrote in big block letters up here is the one I want you to take away, because that's, to me, the most important one, and that's unconstrained. That's taking all of the constraints off of us and letting us go anywhere in the world we want to go, as much or as little. And when we say unconstrained, I don't want you to think swinging for the fences, right? Unconstrained does not mean octane. It means if we want to be 100% in cash, we can. If we want to be 100% in equity, we can. If we want to put 50% of it in oil, we can. If we want to go long, we can. If we want to go short, we can. If we want to use emerging market debt, we want to use corporate debt, we want to use futures, options, contracts, wherever in the world we want to go, as quickly and as much or as little as we want. This is a hedge fund-like portfolio that is now available in the retail space in this tax-deferred platform. So we think it's a very powerful scenario. Our lead portfolio manager, Ed Keon, he calls this the no excuses portfolio, right? He kind of jokes that that prospectus that tells constrained managers what they have to have exposure to is that book of excuses. You know, he's like, let's just throw that in the trash so we can go anywhere we want and really take full advantage of our information. And if we need to get completely out of the market, we could do that, you know, and not have another 08. So we think this is definitely revolutionary in the retail space. When you look at, we've been running it just a little over 2 years. Our alpha, and as a reminder, alpha is performance above our benchmark, so excess return has been 2.6%. Now, a little bit of credit to Stacy here. Some of that alpha is coming from the next portfolio I'm going to cover, which is equity alpha. So again, flexible is an asset allocation strategy on the platform. One of 13 funds. We are using Equity Alpha, which is a standalone large cap blend portfolio. So if you're going to go into this platform and start building your own, you can use this Equity Alpha as a core holding, large cap blend, and then satellite your other asset classes around that. And so Equity Alpha is where we've been getting a lot of that equity exposure and performance. It is a 5-star Morningstar fund. It was the number 2 performer on the overall platform last year at 16% versus 12% for our benchmark. I'll do the math for you. That's 4% outperformance of alpha. Pretty impressive. But the one thing we want to highlight, which will kind of cue up Stacy, is this is a 130-30. And the fact sheet that you're looking at kind of has this little schematic on the right side. It's the next box. But a 130-30 is allowing us to short stocks, essentially. So what we're doing is we're taking 100% going long. We're taking 30% of the portfolio. We're selling stocks we don't like. We then take the proceeds of that short sale and buy more of what we do like. Right? So now we're 130% long. We're 30% short. We net out to an even 100% market exposure. So what that means is we're giving you a beta of 1, which is why it can be a core and in that large cap space. But when you look at kind of the alpha and the 10-year track record, when you annualize our 10-year number, 2% a year annualized of alpha, performance above the benchmark. And a large majority of that is coming just from that little portion that we're able to short. So I don't want to steal too much of Stacy's thunder, but I just want to clarify kind of these points on Equity Alpha as a standalone. And so with that, let me formally introduce Stacy. We've had a great 3 days. I'm sad it's coming to an end with this presentation. But Stacy is a managing director and one of the lead portfolio managers on the equity side. So she manages a lot of core products for us, as well as anything that's enabling that shorting. And she'll talk about some of the different strategies that actually enable shorting and the benefits there. Before doing portfolio management for us, she was on the asset allocation team, and her biggest account was the Prudential Pension Plan. So again, that institutional clientele. She received her bachelor's from my alma mater, Rutgers University, in economics. Go Rutgers, go Scarlet Knights, right? And then she went on to NYU to get a master's in finance, and she does have that most coveted designation, which is the CFA. So please give a warm welcome to Stacy. Thank you.